that the regime is really prepared to execute thousands of people?
They no doubt have the capacity to do so. The Islamic Republic has no doubt in its 43 years indicated a track record of doing just that. We've seen now Mohsen Shikari, Mahdi Reza Rahnavard both be executed, one publicly. The Islamic Republic is accusing these people of warring against God, or muharebe. The Islamic Republic itself is warring against humanity and basic decency. So there's no question that the lives of the nearly two dozen others who have already been issued death sentences are certainly in grave danger, and that could extend to the nearly 18,000 who are arrested. Whether the regime has plans to immediately execute all of them or not is not clear. What I think is clear is they're waiting to see how the international community responds. This is a test, not only for the Iranian people, which the Iranian people, I think, are passing with flying colors as they continue to come into the streets. It's also a test for the international community. Will the international community stand up, and will they finally do something more than just condemnation? The Islamic Republic is waiting to see how the world responds to these executions to determine whether it continues on this path.
And Mariam, just a few weeks after we saw the Iranian national football team in Qatar at the World Cup, we now hear about this footballer, Amir Nasser Asadani. Do you have any information on his case specifically?
Not specifically, Laura, but I will echo Kamran's point that this is a regime that has execution in its DNA. It's how it came to power in 1979 by executing the most prominent Iranians. It continued in 1988 with a prison massacre that took the life of many thousands of innocents. So the current president, Raisi, is personally culpable for those executions. Today, the reason that these executions are happening is for the same reason. It's a totalitarian regime that rules by fear. Its hope is that it will scare the Iranian population away from this revolution that is nonviolent, that is nationwide, that has the support of the diaspora, that does have the support of people around the world who see what the stakes are. If Iran is a free country, a democratic country, an open society, all the Middle East region can have a chance at peace and dignity, and the world at large, the free countries of the world, can have much, much more security. And the region and Iran can be on a path to great economic prosperity. The regime is trying to prevent that by scaring the people. The people aren't submitting to fear, but what is happening, I'm worried, is that the international community is not seizing this revolutionary moment and recognizing that it's not enough to say that the United States or Canada or European Union, European nations support the Iranian people's right to protest. It's important for them to recognize the content of their protest, that they are protesting to overthrow this government and to transition peacefully to a democratic government. It's in the national interest of every country in the world for the Iranian people to succeed. So when there's rhetorical support, the rhetorical support needs to be unequivocally that we want these people to win. We want them to be victorious, and they can be.
Okay, Cameron, do you think that's what's lacking? I mean, we have just heard that Europe is sanctioning Iran, not over the repression of the protests, but on the fact that it's supplying drones to Russia.
Well, the Islamic Republic should be held accountable for all of its actions, for its domestic crimes against humanity, for its international terrorism, and for its meddling in the affairs of other nations, particularly at this moment in Ukraine. But we also see that extend here to the Western Hemisphere, in Cuba and Venezuela and other countries. As Mariam pointed out, change in Iran, fundamental change in Iran, could be a domino effect that has lasting positive impact around the world. Just as the 1979 revolution in Iran had lasting consequences negatively around the world. You saw immediately thereafter the Soviets invade Afghanistan. You saw the development of radical Islam across the Middle East, international terror hitting Europe and the United States. So the change in Iran could not just affect Iran, but could really impact the entire world. And so, of course, Western powers have to hold this regime accountable for the meddling they're doing abroad, as in Ukraine, but they also have to hold the regime accountable for its domestic crimes against humanity. Of course, seeing some action from the EU is very helpful. Seeing some policy changes in Canada, for example, is most welcome. But it's time to begin to hit the regime where it hurts. If we talk about Russia and Ukraine, it's time to apply the same standard that the international community applied to Vladimir Putin and his outrageous actions to Ali Khamenei and his regime's even worse actions. The Islamic Republic is slaughtering people in the streets. And so it's time for the world to apply that same standard to hit this regime where it hurts, in its pocketbook, first and foremost.
Cameron Khan Sarinian and Mariam Mirasadeki, thank you very much indeed to you both.